Reporting tonight, Ayotunde Balogun. Hello and welcome tonight. Former President Olusegun Obasanjo criticizes Africa's democratic model, says its foreign structure lacks African context and content, encourages winner-takes-all politics, and undermines inclusive governance across continent. Osun Governor Ademola Adeleke raises alarm over video alleging Senator Fadaunsi ordered accord killings, and Senator Fadaunsi clarifies kill accord as political metaphor, urging APC supporters defeat accord party. Police Service Commission deploys monitoring team for Osun election duties, directs officers to follow guidelines and maintain discipline, professionalism before, during and after polls across state. And Ukraine, Russia exchange overnight strikes as Zelensky accuses Moscow of using North Korean missiles amid ongoing war.
Unlock up to $50 billion in deep offshore oil and gas investments.
On Sports News tonight, Champions League holders PSG target back-to-back UEFA Super Cup trophies when they take on Europa League victors Aston Villa in Salzburg on Wednesday night.
The nation's capital, Information Minister Mohammed Idris urges greater religious tolerance and national unity, says Nigeria's diversity must remain a strength in pursuit of peace and development.
Former President of Nigeria, Chief Olusegun Obasanjo, has called for a rethink of Africa's democracy, stating that it needs to reflect African context, especially its history, culture, and values. The elder statesman questions whether the democracy adopted by African countries has delivered the expected dividends to the people, despite the failures of key arms of government. He spoke at the 2026 Goodluck Jonathan Foundation Democracy Dialogue held in Bauchi State, which brought together dignitaries across the African continent. Our correspondent, Hajira Aliu, reports.
The 2026 Goodluck Jonathan Democracy Dialogue has provided a platform for critical conversations on the state of democracy in Africa and the way forward.
For his continued commitment,
political leaders, statesmen, academics and other stakeholders from across Africa gathered in Bauchi to examine the challenges confronting democratic governance on the continent. A major highlight of the dialogue was the address by the chairman of the occasion, former President, Chief Olusegun Obasanjo, who criticizes the model of democracy practiced across much of Africa.
Let us not deceive ourselves. There's nothing like African democracy. What purpose does it serve that when millions of people have voted, then 5 people will come to decide either in favor or against the decision of millions of people? Is that democracy?
At the center of the dialogue is the question, beyond elections, can political parties and the judiciary save African democracy? And the NDC presidential candidate for the 2027 election disagrees with that premise, citing the difficulties citizens face in accessing justice.
I went to Court of Appeal. 5 judges I never met gave judgment in my favor. So if you look at that and look at what is happening today in Nigeria, where professors are now aiding illiterates to rig election, where our lawmakers lawmakers have removed forgery as an offense in electoral matter. As senior advocates of Nigeria are defending forgery.
Host Governor Bala Muhammad stresses the need for strong and independent institutions as a foundation for a stable democracy.
Democracy needs more than election day rituals. It relies on ideological, accountable political parties and an independent, fearless judiciary that safeguards the rule of law and public trust.
Delivering the keynote address, Professor of Development Studies at the University of Nairobi, Karuti Kanyinga, questions the state of internal democracy within political parties and the independence of the judiciary.
We need to rethink our elections and the role of even political parties so that it's not only politics that we should be concerned about, but governance that can feed our people.
At the breakout session, the chairman of the foundation and former president, Dr. Goodluck Jonathan, delivers the closing address, where he raises concerns over the concentration of excessive power at the center.
In Switzerland, there is no one person that is the overall boss at any particular time. You have few people that make up what I may describe as a presidential college. So no one person take a decision that affects the whole country. Any sensitive decision must be taken by all these people. And I know I hosted one of them when I was the vice president. And he said that their forefathers believed that when one person has so much powers, it is dangerous to society.
The dialogue ultimately underscores a common message: strengthening democracy is a collective responsibility. Political parties, the judiciary, governments and other institutions must play their part in building democratic systems that deliver good governance and work for the people of Africa. Hajara Aliyu, Channels Television News.
Other speakers who spoke at the Democracy Dialogue held in Bauchi today have called on political parties to focus more on clear ideologies and policy programs that will enable them to better serve the people. The speakers also advocated an end to political interference and the intimidation of judges, stressing the need for the judiciary to operate independently and without undue influence. Meanwhile, the former president of the Senate, Ayim Pius Ayim, has praised former President Goodluck Jonathan for his decision not to challenge the outcome of the 2025 presidential election in court. According to him, that singular action saved the country from descent into chaos.
The judiciary is another critical pillar of democratic governance. An independent and impartial judiciary provides the necessary checks and balances within a democratic system. The court has the responsibility to interpreting the Constitution, protecting citizens' rights, and resolving disputes, including electoral disputes, in accordance with the law. For this reason, judicial independence must be protected. Judges must be able to perform their duties without political interference, intimidation, and undue pressure. At the same time, the judiciary must continue to uphold the highest standard of integrity, professionalism, and accountability. Public confidence in the judiciary is essential to the credibility of democracy. Instead of searching for solution in the circumstance we are talking about, we should also bring into consideration the quality and character of our politicians and, on the other hand, national interest. Take, for instance, in 2015. In 2015, when we lost the election, it would have been the first time in the history of this country where a sitting president will contest his loss of an election in the court. But President Jonathan chose not to go to court. He chose not to contest the outcome of the result. And that saved both the court, the political parties, and indeed stabilized the polity. So for us to get a permanent solution, we need the characters like in the mode of President Goodluck Jonathan to run our affairs.
Away from the democracy dialogue in Bojo State, and let's head to Osun State, where Governor Ademola Adeleke has raised an alarm over what he describes as security concerns involving members and loyalists of the Accord Party in the state. Speaking to journalists at the government house in Osogbo, Governor Adeleke alleged that the police have received a directive to arrest some Accord Party leaders and take them to Abuja, where he says they would be detained until next week. The governor describes the alleged move as illegal, claiming that some members of the party are already being held in what he calls unlawful police detention. The governor also raised concerns over a viral social media video purportedly showing serving APC senator representing Osun East Senatorial District, Mr. Francis Fadausi, allegedly calling for the killing of Accord Party members and their families.
We have credible reports that a police signal has arrived in Osun directing immediate arrest of Accord Party leaders. We also know the directive includes that they should be taken to Abuja immediately and should not be released until Monday. I have spoken to the Inspector General of Police about the reported directive to arrest Accord Party leaders. But I am appealing to him that if this development is, if it is true, it is illegal and present Nigeria as a lawless country. Arresting Accord Party leaders on the eve of an election amount to police helping and assisting the APC Osun to rig the election. The second issue has to do with the viral video of a service senator, Francis Fadausi, who today called for the killing of Accord Party leaders and their families. In the video, the senator even threatened that where they cannot get Accord Party leaders, they should kill their wives and children. This is now beyond politics. This is now a national security threat that requires the attention of Mr. President through the Office of the National Security Advisor. I have raised this issue with the Inspector General of Police and demanded for the immediate investigation and arrest of Senator Fadausi.
Meanwhile, the serving APC Senator Francis Fadausi has told Channels Television that he does not preach violence. While speaking on our political program, Politics Today, the senator explained that his remarks in the viral video was misinterpreted, describing it as a misleading and deliberate attempt to misrepresent his statement. The Senator Fadausi said it was disheartening and unacceptable for anyone, especially a responsible political party, to engage in the killing of opposition members.
Is it true that you have a killer squad?
Where is the killer squad? Where are the killer squad?
Where did you keep them? The allegation in town is that you have one.
Where? They don't have a killer squad in this town. All the killer squad are in there. They are in the chief of town's house. They are in the father's house. They are in Dupe's house. They are in the university of this thing. Okay, somebody terrorizing you will be shouting, will be crying. He can cry because it's a very terrible person. If he's a good governor...
You are talking about a governor here. That's the #1 citizen in your state. And you are speaking about him in this manner.
I know. If somebody does not behave like a father of all, and he said he's the father of Curtis, then he's not my governor. Please.
I mean, why is it that your party is worried or insecure, and you're thinking that you might lose this election, Senator? Is that the fear you are having?
Why are they shouting? Now that I've shouted that they should leave my people, and if they want to vote peacefully, they should do it. But if they don't want to vote peacefully, they should stop killing my people. Now he's afraid. Why is he afraid in Ede? You are keeping Ede in peace. You are destroying my own base. It is you to tell him that he should leave my own territory, my district alone. Let us face the election.
In part 2, after the break, Flight operations resume at Lagos and Abuja airports after industrial action by the NLC, ATSAN and TUC disrupted services. Please stay with us. Welcome back. If you have just joined us, you're watching the news at 10 on Channels Television, broadcasting live from Lagos. A reminder of our top stories. Former President Olusegun Obasanjo criticizes Africa's democratic model, says its foreign structure lacks African context and content, encourages winner-takes-all politics, and undermines inclusive governance across continent. Osun Governor Demola Adeleke raises alarm over video alleging Senator Francis Fadausi ordered Accord killings. Senator Fadausi clarifies a kill Accord as political metaphor, urging APC supporters defeat Accord party. Now, Police Service Commission deploys monitoring team for Osun election duties, directs officers to follow guidelines and maintain discipline, professionalism before, during and after polls across the state. And Ukraine and Russia exchange overnight strikes as Zelensky accuses Moscow of using North Korean missiles amid ongoing war. Still on the Osun governorship election holding this Saturday, the Police Service Commission, the PSC, has deployed a high-powered monitoring delegation to observe the conduct of police personnel on election duty across the state, warning against all forms of misconduct. A statement signed by the spokesperson of the Commission, Mr. Tortin Njoku Kalu, says the deployment is a decisive move aimed at safeguarding the integrity of the exercise. The statement explains that the delegation, led by DIG Taiwo Lakano, retired, board members and chairman of the PSC Standing Committee on Police Matters, will ensure that officers deployed for the election strictly adhere to the guiding principles governing election duties and uphold the highest standards of discipline and professionalism before, during and after the polls. The statement adds that the Commission is committed to deepening public confidence in the electoral process by guaranteeing that police conduct remains impartial, rule-based and civil at all times. Meanwhile, Amnesty International has called on Nigerian authorities to uphold human rights and ensure a free, fair and peaceful governorship election in Osun State come August the 15th. The organization says it has received disturbing reports of violence, arrests of state government officials and alleged attempts to influence the electoral process. According to Amnesty International, at least 29 people have been killed in 73 incidents across the state, with investigations indicating escalating tensions and potential for further clashes in Osogbo, Ede, Ife, Oriade, Ijebu-Ijesha, Ilobu and Ikire. Now, the group is urging authorities to investigate the reported incidents, ensure accountability and bring those responsible to justice. Amnesty International's Executive Director in Nigeria, Issa Sanusi, says authorities must now take urgent steps to prevent further violence and ensure security agencies remain neutral throughout the electoral process. And while calling on all political parties and their supporters to renounce violence, the group stressed that the people of Osun State must be allowed to exercise their right to vote freely and fairly in an atmosphere that respects human rights. West Africa's growing refining capacity and energy demand may provide the foundation for a regional petroleum pricing and trading hub, but stakeholders say infrastructure, financing, transparent data, and regulatory cooperation must now catch up. The call was made in Abuja at the second West Africa Refined Fuel Market Conference, where government officials, regulators, refiners, traders, investors, and other industry players reviewed progress since the 2025 conference and outlined the next steps towards a credible regional price benchmark. Our correspondent Benny Ark reports.
She does deserve. The second edition of the West Africa Refined Fuel Markets Conference is bringing together regulators, energy companies, refiners, traders, financiers, infrastructure investors, and representatives of S&P Global Commodity Insights.
From storage to terminal.
The conference, organized to build on the roadmap developed in 2025, is focused on funding West African infrastructure and distribution to create a transparent market for regional price benchmarks.
A regional trading hub cannot function if products cannot move reliably from refinery to storage, from storage to terminal, and from terminal to vessel, or across borders to demand centers and all that. Our infrastructure conversation must therefore encompass the entire value chain.
Trade flows are changing. Margins, yes, have expanded, but it's a difficult environment. Diesel shortage has to be tackled. Price volatility of unprecedented scale has to be dealt with.
Stakeholders say the region's challenge is no longer about whether it has enough resources or refining capacity, but whether it can build the systems needed to move energy from where it is produced to where it is needed.
We can no longer afford to operate in silos. We must have a system that not only links the value chain across the sub-region, we must have a functional system that integrates our regulatory systems. We must have an integrated system that links us together.
Without infrastructure, supply remains stranded. Without transparent pricing, investors price uncertainty rather than opportunity. And without regulatory coordination between the two regulators, borders become bottlenecks rather than gateways to trade. So price transparency is therefore not simply a reporting exercise, it is essential to market infrastructure.
The Minister of State for Petroleum Resources, Mr. Heineken Lukubiri, says government is committed to supporting refiners, developing a competitive market, and positioning Nigeria as a regional hub for refined petroleum products.
The federal government of Nigeria, under President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, is fully committed to supporting this initiative, to supporting the West African Regulators Forum to do its job for the benefit of not just Nigeria, but for the benefit of the entire continent.
The message from this conference is clear. Nigeria must strengthen partnerships, attract more investments, and make better use of its energy resources. Benny R., reporting for Channels Television News.
That's news now in the aviation sector, where flight operations have resumed in the Murtala Mohammed International Airport and the Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport after flights were disrupted by an industrial action by members of the Nigeria Labour Congress, the Air Transport Services Senior Staff Association of Nigeria, and the Trade Union Congress. The industrial action resulted in the barricading of the entrances of departure terminals at both airports, leaving passengers stranded. The unions later suspended the protest, however threatened to continue the industrial action for the next 21 days if their demands are not met. Our correspondent, Kumbi Abuluade, tells us more.
What started as a normal morning for air travelers in the Federal Capital Territory and Lagos was soon interrupted as passengers got locked out of Terminal D at the local wing of the Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport, Abuja, as well as Terminal 1 and 2 at the Murtala Mohammed International Airport, Lagos, due to an ongoing strike action by members of the Nigerian Labour Congress, the Air Transport Services Senior Staff Association of Nigeria, and the Trade Union Congress. At the nation's capital, the scene soon escalated when passengers forcefully gained access, breaking the entrance door glass of the terminal. Inside, the departure hall is filled to capacity as passengers are left stranded. One of the union leaders explains the reason for the industrial action while revealing plans by the union for the next 21 days.
2018, we have been writing to the airline operators of Nigeria, that's the umbrella of the domestic airlines. They need to allow their workers, their employees, to exercise their rights under the Constitution of the Republic of Nigeria. They have denied them this right. Other domestic airlines, we are picketing them, but we just started from APIS. So tomorrow we continue with the other one. In fact, we have declared a 21 days picketing. That's number one. The second one is a pathetic thing. When people travel in Nigeria, there is a particular sum they pay for the maintenance of the airport, for the operation of the workers, for the renewal of tools and everything. These airlines withheld it. Above 25 billion, they have refused to remit. So all the condition of service of workers we have negotiated among all this line, all of them are suffering.
After several hours, when normalcy returns and flight operations resume, we spoke to some passengers who aired their views on the situation.
I came here by 8 a.m. for a 10 a.m. flight. Aero cancelled my flight. I booked with United Nigeria. They cancelled the flight. I booked with Airpeace. They cancelled the flights. 3 tickets are still pending. 2 are pending for this thing. 2 are pending for this thing, refund. Now, Airpeace, instead of them to come and tell us what is really going on, they are saying, they told them that they are part of the union. They told them they are not joining the union. What's our business? We have already paid. And they are saying that they are owing them money. Is it our fault? When you pay your tickets, you see surcharge, you see taxes. Why are they not paying the taxes? Please, this thing is very, very bad. This thing is not even good one bit. I'm going for my mom's burial, and it's supposed to be today. And I'm still here by almost 4 o'clock. For a flight that's supposed to leave as early as 10 o'clock.
In a sane community, this should not be happening. You should be at least compensated. A lot of people were here. Nobody is telling you we have to pay for hotel accommodation and extra nights. Going to Sabah now that I rerouted, I have to pay for, because that was not my original destination. I have to also look for how, and you know, security is not guaranteed. So what do? We are frustrated. Government should come to our aid.
For now, flight operations have resumed. However, the air passengers are seeking a permanent solution to the situation to avert future occurrences. From the nation's capital, Kumbi Aboluade, Channels Television News.
Still ahead on the news at 10. President Bola Tinubu approves landmark framework to unlock up to $50 billion in deep offshore oil and gas investment. That's in business news. Please join us again. Welcome back to the news at 10. Let's now head to the nation's capital, where Gloria Mizoke is standing by to give us the latest from Abuja studios. Over to you, Gloria.
Thank you, Ayo. We're here in Abuja. We begin with the Minister of Information and National Orientation, Mr. Mohammed Idris, who is calling for greater religious tolerance and unity among Nigerians, saying the country's diversity must be seen as a strength in the collective pursuit of peace and national development. Now, speaking at the opening ceremony of an international conference on national security organized by the Muslim World League, the minister says Nigeria remains an interfaith nation where Christians and Muslims must work together to confront the challenges threatening national cohesion.
The message is simple, that all of us need to come together, think as Nigerians, think as human beings. And then all of us need to work together, irrespective of our colorations, our differences, so that we can act as one. Nigeria, indeed, at this time requires unity. We need further demonstration of unity for all of us to believe and to think as Nigeria. This is the only way to go. There is no time for differences there. And if in our fight against insecurity, if you have religious differences, of course, it goes to exacerbate this problem. So the need for us to come together as one, as one people is important. And that is the message that we are taking away from this conference today.
To company news, MTN Nigeria celebrates 25 years of operations in the country, emphasizing its growth journey into one of Nigeria's largest digital connectivity and service providers. The company marks the milestone in Lagos with the launch of the Yellow Street Museum, an exhibition showcasing MTN Nigeria's journey, successes, innovations, and contributions to Nigeria's telecommunications industry since its entry into the country.
The MTN rooftop in Ikoyi, Lagos plays host to guests, management and staff of Nigeria's most subscribed telecommunications company as it marks 25 years of operation.
You made this journey possible.
Chief Financial Officer Modupe Kadiri believes that connecting with the youth helps the company thrive and makes it stand out from its competitors.
I think the biggest achievement is to put in power in the hands of our youths. We've seen how much today Nigerians are the high on content creation, music, digital content, and things like that. So I think to a large extent, technology has revolutionized the way people see the future. And we've created different industries, fintechs, vast content creators, and things like that.
The anniversary features the creation of the Yellow Street Museum, centered on the theme "We've Come a Long Way," and the exhibition highlights the company's journey so far.
It's important to document history. Oftentimes, we take for granted where we are today. You know, you wake up in the morning, you pick up your phone, but you don't look at where you are queuing before a Nitel or a Net phone booth to try to make a call.
With continued investment, MTN aims to provide outstanding services to its customers and illuminate new paths.
We see ourselves as a partner for progress, a partner that is working with Nigerians and the Nigerian populace to be better at anything they find themselves doing.
As MTN hits 25 years, the mobile telecommunications powerhouse looks forward to building on its achievement and continuing its legacy as the leading service provider in Nigeria.
More company news. Nigerian Breweries Limited, makers of Goldberg Lager beer, has made a bold statement about its leading role as a brand as it unveils the largest landmark talking drum at Cocoa House, Ibadan, the Oyo State capital. The project is a partnership between the Nigerian Breweries plc and Odua Investment Company Limited, aimed at celebrating Yoruba culture, heritage and identity while giving the historic Cocoa House a new dominant expression on the Ibadan skyline.
Standing tall for over 6 decades, Cocoa House remains one of Ibadan's most enduring symbols of heritage and enterprise. Now, the iconic 25-story building has gained a striking new feature, the Goldberg talking drum, one of the most prominent symbols of Yoruba royalty, culture, and celebration. The rooftop installation is designed to celebrate culture, unity, heritage, and pride while giving a new identity to one of Nigeria's historic landmarks. The project is a collaboration between Nigerian Breweries plc and Odua Investment Company and forms part of Nigerian Breweries' efforts to strengthen Goldberg's connection with its consumers and Yoruba culture.
The talking drum is the iconic icon. It's the most iconic identity of the Goldberg brand apart from its name. And that icon is very special because the drum celebrates culture. It celebrates the happiness and the joy of people coming together to celebrate what makes us us.
For Nigerian Breweries, the choice of talking drum is deliberate, given its strong association with the Goldberg brand and its theme of culture, celebration, and togetherness.
We want people to see Goldberg not just as a brand that they enjoy, but a brand that is part of culture and proud of the identity of the Southwest.
For Odua Investment Company, the project goes beyond adding a sculpture to a historic building. It represents an enduring testament to the vision of the progressive leaders of the Old Western region, while reaffirming that African culture remains alive, relevant, and worthy of preservation.
Nigerian Breweries did not merely sponsor a monument. They embraced a vision of culture renaissance. They have shown that commerce can be a custodian of identity.
The Oyo State government has also commended Nigerian breweries for its contribution to culture, tourism, and entertainment, noting that the company has supported many initiatives in the state.
They have been supporting culture and tourism in the state. In the area of entertainment, they are the forefront. In the area of employment, they are there. And in the area of hospitality, the Jamboree is also there.
With its illumination adding a fresh visual identity to the Ibadan skyline, the Goldberg Talking Drum is fast becoming another landmark feature of Cocoa House Ibadan. Bukola Oriowo, Channels Television News.
That's it from the nation's capital. It's back to you, Ayo, in Lagos.
Many thanks, Gloria. We have more on the aviation news that happened at the busiest airports, talking about Lagos and Abuja, where the Trade Union Congress of Nigeria, the TUC, is throwing its full weight behind workers in the aviation sector, of course, saying no employer has the right to stop employees from joining the unions. Now, the TUC president, Mr. Festus Osifo, stated this during a press conference on the state of the nation in Abuja, where the Congress warns that any attempt to victimize workers for exercising their right to unionize will be resisted. Will Ibong is standing by to give us the latest from the world of business. Will.
Thank you, Ayo. President Bola Tinubu has approved a new framework to unlock up to $50 billion in deep offshore oil and gas investments and revive major projects stalled for years. The framework replaces project-by-project negotiations with clear investment rules, beginning with the $10 billion Bonga Southwest project. The federal government expects the reform to provide greater certainty for investors and strengthen Nigeria's competitiveness for global capital. The policy also allows NNPC Limited to amend eligible production sharing contracts and prioritizes local execution where feasible, supporting Nigerian engineering, fabrication, and skilled jobs. Tinubu describes the reform as a step towards attracting long-term capital and delivering greater value from Nigeria's natural resources. Now we go to the housing sector, where we see affordability is still a challenge, and there are renewed calls for stronger private sector participation and improved access to finance for developers. Speaking on Business Morning earlier today, the chapter president, FIABC Nigeria, Akin Okpatola, advocates greater private sector involvement, stressing the need for transparency, reliable housing data, and stronger government support to meet the country's high housing demand.
I'm a strong advocate of bringing in private capital. These private capitals are available, but they need to see transparency, they need to see the right data, and they need to see that we also are dedicated and interested in bringing these funds in. We all know we have the effective demand, we have the population. So there's no gain saying that, look, if you build it, people will come, whether in the rental market or in the outright purchase. But you see, it's the other thing that I mentioned earlier, that we also need to be very careful, because what we see now is maybe about 3 or 4% of GDP is currently used in the mortgage space. We need to increase that rapidly. So private developers need to come in, government need to assist them gradually. And we need to also look at the entire ecosystem. What do I mean? Don't just take a single product. Maybe 70-75% of these building materials for building a home are imported. How can government look at that so that we developers can build to scale? That is how we'll reach these huge numbers, housing deficit that we're speaking about today.
Now, outside our shores, Istanbul Airport has overtaken London's Heathrow to become Europe's busiest airport, breaking the Heathrow's long-standing dominance. Istanbul handled 8.15 million passengers in July. That's up 2.3% from a year earlier. Heathrow recorded 7.86 million passengers, down 1.5%. Now, the drop at Heathrow was partly linked to weaker traffic on Middle East routes following the conflict involving Iran. The shift has renewed pressure on Heathrow to expand, with the airport pushing for a third runway that could eventually raise its annual capacity to about 150 million passengers. Back home, the domestic equities market reversed gains recorded yesterday as the all-share index fell by 0.73%. Yes, Laddie Williams with the highlights.
Hello and welcome to the Stock Market Report. Well, day 2 of this trading week, and the bulls could not sustain how it's kicked off this Monday, and we see profit taking most of the sectors that we track. The banking counter there down 0.46%, with some of the tier 1 banks and tier 2 banks dropping today. Consumer goods almost 1% dip there. For oil and gas, just 3 basis points higher. Then the telcos, they're moving this week. Monday was Airtel Africa with over 23 trillion naira market cap, but today is MTN Nigeria now shedding a share price. They're closing at 805 naira per share, dropping with 26 other decliners.
Thank you, Laddie. Definitely a good entry point for investors interested in MTN Nigeria. But let's see the closing numbers for other major stock markets outside Nigeria. And that's business news. I'm Will Ibang. It's back to you, Ayo.
Thank you, Will. Ukraine and Russia have continued striking each other overnight, with President Volodymyr Zelensky accusing Moscow of using North Korean missiles. Ukraine said strikes on the southern city of Zaporizhia, which killed 7 people and injured at least 24, involved ballistic missiles from Russia's ally. Now here's Simon Pusey with more international news in Around the World in 5.
Good evening and welcome to the Channel Studios here in London with your international news around the world in 5. It's emerged Donald Trump secretly swapped planes as he left a NATO summit in Turkey last month as part of an elaborate ruse in response to a possible Iranian threat. The US president boarded Air Force One in view of television cameras before being transported to a military aircraft with the help of a catering truck. Journalists said some White House staff on board did not know he had been smuggled out. Officials said that the US had detected a credible threat to fire a missile at the plane. The White House has not confirmed the secret switch. Trump had earlier said he was Iran's #1 target during the summit in Ankara. At least 132 people are dead and many hundreds more injured after Colombia was hit by one of its largest earthquakes in years. The death toll is likely to rise, with more feared trapped under collapsed buildings. The magnitude 7.4 quake struck at a depth of 103 kilometers in Choco province. It was felt across an enormous area, stretching for hundreds of miles across western Colombia. Many of the deaths had been concentrated in the city of Pereira, in Colombia's coffee-growing region, with surrounding cities and the Valle del Cauca region also hit hard. The epicenter of the quake was near the village of San Jose del Palma, but the local mayor said there had miraculously been no deaths or injuries, despite the roads in and out being damaged. Ukraine and Russia have continued striking each other overnight, with Volodymyr Zelensky accusing Moscow of using North Korean missiles. The Ukrainian president said strikes in Zaporizhia, which killed at least 6 and injured at least 19, involved ballistic missiles from Russia's ally. In Voronezh, in southern Russia, warehouses belonging to the online retailer Wildberries were hit by Ukraine. The company, known as Russia's Amazon, has been repeatedly targeted in recent weeks. The attacks come a day after at least 13 people were killed, including one child, in Ukrainian drone strikes on the Russian Republic of Tatarzan, more than 1,100 kilometers from the Ukrainian border. In a video address on Monday evening, Zelensky said for the first time Russia cannot wage war without reinforcements from North Korea. A Syrian court has sentenced ousted dictator Bashar al-Assad to death in absentia after convicting him of committing war crimes and crimes against humanity during the country's civil war. It is the first conviction against Assad, who fled from Damascus to Moscow with his family after his regime was overthrown in December 2024, ending his family's 5-decade grip on power. Assad's cousin, the former head of political security in southern Syria's Deraa province, Atef Najib, was also sentenced to death. He had been put on trial and appeared wearing a striped prison uniform inside a cage in the courtroom as the judge read out his sentence. Deraa is widely seen as the birthplace of the uprising against Assad's rule. Libyan emergency services have been battling to contain a huge blaze at a major oil plant after it was targeted by unknown attackers. The Zawiya refinery west of the capital Tripoli was hit in a drone strike, the third such incident in 2 days. The National Oil Corporation said a tank containing around 4.5 million litres of fuel was directly hit, triggering a huge fire that caused it to collapse. It said it was considering suspending operations if the attacks continued. Libya's ambulance and emergency service said there were no serious injuries from the fire, with most patients treated for smoke inhalation. Australia's Prime Minister Anthony Albanese is under fire for comments he made about 2 melons gifted to him by Japanese counterpart Sanae Takaichi after a former Japanese envoy called it an insult.
The Japanese Prime Minister brought a melon.
Smuggled. It was a she.
She?
Did she smuggle it?
I don't know.
Oh, I'm expecting.
Got a couple of melons.
The
episode, which aired in July, had already landed the Prime Minister in hot water because of his inappropriate comments he made about pop star Kylie Minogue. Opposition leaders are now demanding he apologise to Takaichi, but Albanese's position is that it was the host who made the joke, not him. And the world's oceans hit their hottest ever recorded temperatures for July, partly fueled by the developing El Nino conditions in the Pacific. That's according to the EU's Climate Monitoring Service. The average sea surface temperature outside the world's polar regions, between 60 degrees north and 60 degrees south, was 20.96 degrees Celsius last month, beating the previous high of 20.89 set in 2023. Last month was the joint second warmest July globally on record, with temperatures 1.47 degrees Celsius above the estimated pre-industrial average. Meanwhile, Western Europe experienced its hottest ever June and July, with prolonged hot and dry conditions fueling extreme wildfires across the region.
And that's your international news around the world in 5. Now back to the Channel studios in Lagos.
Thank you, Simon. Welcome to Sports News. Head coach of Women's African Cup of Nations debutant Malawi, Lovemore Fazili, says their fairy tale run at the tournament has just started as they are set to take on Algeria in the semi-finals. Both sides have never reached the last 4 of the competition, but Coach Fazili is confident he has the team to get the job done on Wednesday.
Always, we came into this tournament as the underdogs, and we're still underdogs until the final game when we reach finals, because we are very, very, very sure that we're going to reach finals. With God's grace, we're going to reach finals. So it's another good day tomorrow, meeting another tough team, another tough country altogether. So we fight until the game is over. We have been with this project, I think, almost 3 or 4 years altogether, and the association, Football Association of Malawi, I think, put everything, put all effort, all resources, I think, to make this team reach this point, and it wasn't very easy. We have gone through, a lot of things, good and bad things.
Well, PSG aims to begin the season by retaining the UEFA Super Cup when they take on Aston Villa on Wednesday night in Salzburg. But manager Luis Enrique is not expecting a great game, citing his side's lack of preparation because of the World Cup. Last season, PSG won the trophy for the first time after a penalty shootout victory over Tottenham Hotspur after finally lifting the Champions League. Midfielder Vitinha says the team would do everything to win.
We are going to train today. We are trying to analyze everything, all the things that are important for the team, and after that we are going to make our decision, and you will see tomorrow. I don't know, and I don't want to speak about any player individually because it's always dangerous when you are asking something positive or negative about a player, and I stay focused on my team.
On the flip side, Unai Emery believes Aston Villa's UEFA Super Cup meeting with PSG is another opportunity to demonstrate how far the club have progressed during his time at Villa Park. It will be the first competitive match of the new campaign and another major European occasion for a club preparing for consecutive seasons in the Champions League. Emery sees the PSG meeting as an important opportunity for Villa to measure their development against elite opposition. U.S. President Donald Trump says it would be a terrible mistake to replace the embattled FIFA President Gianni Infantino, who tried and failed to sell off part of the World Cup to private investors. Infantino has come under renewed fire in an open letter signed by 3 confederations: Europe's UEFA, North and Central America's CONCACAF, and Asia's AFC, accusing the world football boss of breaking trust through deception. But Trump has backed Infantino, who awarded the U.S. president a FIFA Peace Prize at the World Cup draw ceremony last year. That sports is back to you, Ayo.
Thank you, Chris. And the main news again. Former President Chief Olusegun Obasanjo criticized Africa's democratic model. He said its foreign structure lacked African context and content, encouraged winner-takes-all politics, and undermined inclusive governance across the African continent. And Osun State Governor Ademola Adeleke raised an alarm over a video alleging Senator Francis Fadausi ordered Accord killings. Senator Fadausi clarified, though, kill Accord as a political metaphor, urging APC supporters to defeat the Accord party at the election. And that's the news at 10 tonight. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Ayo Tunde. Following from everyone here. You have a good night.